Hello, this is Jill from Paper Daisy Crafting. Thank you so much for joining me today, and thank you for joining my Card Making for Beginners Series 2. This is number 2 of Series 2. If you're new to my channel, I did a series of card making for beginners last year. You can find it by going to my playlists on my video channel and looking for Card Making for Beginners Series 1. And I did lots and lots of projects on there, very simple projects, suitable for beginners. But of course, some of the products that I use will no longer be available because they will have retired, and because we had a new catalogue out a couple of weeks ago. So I thought I'd record another series using current products, but it will be a repeat of some of the techniques that I showed you before. So if you like this technique, you can look back through there and see some other ideas for making cards using this technique. These are the simplest of simplest cards that we're using today. All we are using is stamps, ink and paper. They're called SIP cards, S-I-P, stamps, ink and paper. That's all you need to make these beautiful cards. So what am I using? Well, my cards are actually our note cards. We sell these in packs of 20. I think they're £6.50, and you get 20 cards and 20 envelopes, and they're made from our really smooth cardstock and paper, which is really gorgeous for stamping on, and you get these really lovely clear images. So I wouldn't ever suggest using any other cardstock apart from our smooth basic white. So you've got those. Then the stamp set I'm using is called In Symmetry, and this is a really good stamp set for beginners because they're solid stamps, so you don't need to worry about coming back and colouring them afterwards, because the stamping will do the colouring for you. Sometimes we have line images. I don't think I can give you an example of this card was made with a stamp set with line images, so the outline was stamped and then you somehow have to colour the inside, and we will cover those, but for today we're just using a simple stamp set where you don't need to do anything like that. But aren't they pretty, these cards? I'm really loving them. It's got loads and loads of lovely floral, sort of very stylised floral images, plus some really nice sentiments in a great font. So I'm going to show you today how simple it is to make this, and I think I worked out that for £68 you could buy a pack of note cards and envelopes, which would give you 20, so you'd be able to make at least 20 cards. This stamp set, if you like this one, is £16. Of course, there's a huge choice of other stamp sets in our catalogue if you don't happen to like this one. If you buy 5 of our in colour stamp pads in these lovely colours that all coordinate together, then this you'd get 10% off. So instead of being £35 for the 5 of these, it would only be £31.50. So you'd get those. You would be able to get a D block, which would be big enough to mount all of those stamps on. So you will need a block, and you could get memento ink as well. And I think that came to £67.50 or something like that. So for £67.50, you've actually got a really good start to your crafting business if this is what you think you might like to do. Right, so let's get started and let me show you how easy it is to make these cards. Right, I'm just going to open my note cards to get out some to use. Just slip that there. I love using our note cards because it makes it really quick and easy. The cards themselves, if I can get one out, are scored ready to be folded and will fit exactly in the envelopes. So, like that. I'm using a bone folder here. You might want to add that to your order. It would be really useful to have a bone folder, but it's not an absolute necessity. You could use something else to do that, handle of a knife or something like that. Anything that's not going to mark the card but will allow you to put some pressure on it to just fold it nicely. Right, okay, so I have mounted up this big floral image onto my stamp, so it just means you just peel them off. So I'll just show you. So they've actually changed the design of our stamp cases just recently, so you can mount all your stamps. I need to get rid of that plastic. I don't need that anymore. You can mount your stamps inside your stamp case, which makes it really, you can see which ones are missing, and it just makes it really easy. So you just peel that off the background there, and mount that onto a D block like so. And a D block will be plenty big enough for that. Just give it a push and it should cling on really nicely. So what I'm going to do is I am going to take my fresh freesia. So last time, the one I made that I just showed you, let me just move this one, was made with polished pink and soft succulent and Memento black ink. Today I'm going to use fresh freesia to stamp my flower head, and I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to tap, tap, tap very gently. So I'm not pushing it so that this part of the block touches the ink, just the stamp. So you don't need to put a huge amount of pressure on it. Just tap it against the stamp set and then just have a check to make sure it has covered the whole stamp, and then position your stamp. Because it's clear, it's very easy to see where you're stamping, and then decide where you want to stamp and just bring it down to kiss the paper, and then just make sure you add pressure. It's quite a big stamp, this one, so you just need to make sure you apply enough pressure to make sure all the ink is transferred. And there you go. If you do that, that will be your first image. It'll be so exciting. Right, so I'm going to put my fresh freesia away. I'm going to take the greeting that I'm going to use now, the sentiment, thanks so much, and I'm going to use my Memento ink. The Memento ink pad has a slightly different surface to our coloured inks. It's like a fabric ink pad, but it works exactly the same way. So what I normally do with the Memento ink is I just give a little bit of scrub first of all, and that seems to make the ink cling to it nicely, because I like a nice really dense black image. And then I'm going to pop this at the bottom, and again just trying to get over top of it so you can see where it's going to stamp, and then just give it a good, not too hard, but you want a nice clear image like that. As I say, I send an awful lot of thank you cards out with my customers or my team, or when people order ask for catalogues, I use an awful lot. So I'm always glad to have a few extra in my stash. Right, now I'm going to open the soft succulent stamp pad. And are you watching how I open them? They've got this thumb hole here. So you just need to pull that up, undo it, and then push it back along there. What that means is that the stamp pad is always stored with the stamp pad facing downwards, so the ink will always be on the surface when you need to use it. Right, so, and now we want to get this stem nice and straight. So you might want to practice on a little bit of spare paper. So there's one of my stems, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to match that up and just elongate it a little bit, so it's a little bit longer than it would have been. There we go. And then I need the same stamp pad, and now I've got the big leaf pair on there. So in my stamp pad it's this pair, and I'm going to tap, 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 and then again try and get my head over. And you can see I've picked up a little bit of ink on my block there, so I need to be really careful that I don't catch that on the paper and get a smudge. I'll try and do it a bit. It's because this is on a block that's a little bit big for this actual stamp. I try and use a smaller block if I could, but actually I've got so many stamps mounted on blocks at the minute I haven't got any spares. There we go, and that's my first card made. How simple was that? Really, really simple, really, really pretty. Just a pretty little card to pop in with an order or whatever, just to say thank you for someone's done something to you. It was my birthday yesterday, so I could do with some thank you cards, just to say I had got loads of cards and presents and surprises and lovely things. So yeah, so there's our first pair of cards. Absolutely beautiful. Let's have a look at the next one. We're going to do this one next with the kind of tulip head of the flower. It's on a smaller block this time, but like I say, if you're just starting out and you can only buy one block, D would be my recommendation, because that's a nice size. So this time we'll do it in pale papaya. So I'm going to open my stamp pad again, and this time let's find another note card. I'm actually going to stamp my sentiment first, which will help me position the stamps around where I want them to go. So just burnish that crease, get it nice and flat as you can. They don't lie very flat, these note cards, but that does help. So let's find my sentiment. Again, I'm using the same sentiment. Thank you so much, or thanks so much. And that's just going to go down the corner there. There we go. I would recommend you always put the lids back on your stamp pads after you've stamped, because it's quite easy to drop things on them or to put your hand on them. So it's always quite, don't do as I do, do as I say. So, you know. Right, okay, so what we are going to do is we're going to stamp one of these flowers here. Just eyeballing this, like so. And then another one higher up and over to the right. There we go, beautiful. I'm loving this stamp set. Let's do my stamp pad up, and then we're back to doing the stems again. Just going to wipe that little bit of ink off there. So very gently tap, tap, tap. And again, the reason I turn it round is so that I can see this straight line, and I can try and get my stem parallel to that straight line so that we don't have any wonky flower stems. And then I'm just lining it up again. Need to be right over it to get that in line. And then we're going to do the other one. Like so. There we go, lovely. And then we just need some leaves, and this time we're using the smaller leaf leaf spray, this one here. So this is a smaller one, and again I've got it on a smaller block, and we are just going to do 2 little leaf sprays on each of these stems, and that will be it. That's our card made. So that's 2 of our cards. You can see how quick and easy it is to just use stamps, ink and paper to make some really, really pretty cards. There we go. So that goes with that one. Really pretty. And then the last one, got a bit busier going on here. We've got 3 flower heads, 3 stems, each with 3 lots of leaves. So how did I make this one? I started out again by doing my sentiment first so that I knew where I could work around. So again, I've got a card blank, just going to burnish that. Of course, it is possible to cut your own card blanks if you wanted to do that. You can buy a pack of A4 card, of our basic white card. You need the thicker one, and then you can cut your own card blanks if you've got a trimmer or something. Right, let's put my green away because I don't need that at the minute. Let's do my Memento ink. And then stamp this. We want it roughly in the middle and definitely straight. Like so, that's brilliant. Always keep something to hand to just wipe any ink that you get on your fingers, because I've got a very, very tiny smudge on my card there which will really annoy me. But actually with a wet wipe I can probably wipe that and get that away. Just need to be very gentle. Right, we're going to go with polished pink for this card. And if you wanted to be very precise, you could measure to make sure this was in the middle. I'm just going to eyeball it, so you can choose to be like me and eyeball it, or you can measure. So I'm just going to try and get that as central as I can. Not bad. And then these 2 are going to be a bit slightly lower. Trying to get it the same level as that one. There we go, lovely. And then we're back to doing the stems again. Now I just caught my thumb on that edge of that ink pad, so I'm just going to take my wipe, just wipe it, because otherwise I'm likely to touch my card and get a smudge on there. So back to soft succulent. I am loving this green actually. It is a really nice, useful green. And again, turn it round so that you can tell if you're parallel to the side of the card. And we're going to go there. And we're going to do one more. Excuse my head if it's getting in the way, sorry about that. Like so. And then this one. And then this one. I'm going to do one on these ones. I don't need it to be any longer, I don't think. Can have uneven stems, I don't mind about that. Or else you can carry on so they go off the edge of the page, it's up to you. And again, we're using that small little leaf cluster. Oh, I've closed my ink pad, I need that still. And what we're going to do is we're going to do 3 sets of leaves. It's going to overlap the flower heads a little bit, but I don't think that matters. Can have a little bit of overlapping. So 3 down there. Now these are shorter than the ones that I did on my other card, so I might choose to just do 1 leaf bract on there. There. I'm going to leave it at that for this one. And there you have some very, very quick and simple. There's those 2. Really, really simple. Just stamps, ink and paper. You don't need loads of highfalutin equipment to make beautiful cards like these. So I do hope that I've inspired you. Just bring them all in so you can see. I do hope that I've inspired you to have a go if you are a complete beginner, or if you're not a complete beginner, I hope I've inspired you to have a go at using this stamp set, because it really is lovely. And I've got loads more ideas for it, some a bit more complicated, but it really is a lovely stamp set. So thank you so much for watching. If you want to find all the videos in this series, you need to go to my playlist and click on Card Making for Beginners Series 2, but this is only number 2 so far, so don't expect to find a load of resources there at the moment, but there will be as the weeks go on. I try and publish one of these the video goes out Monday night, and the blog post will be up on Tuesday morning. So I hope you'll enjoy watching that, and I hope you'll join me again for another Card Making for Beginners next Tuesday. Thanks very much for watching. Bye bye.